Hey, everybody. Hey, Rachel.
Hi.
Today, everyone is watching. We are here with Rachel. She's an officer. She's an influencer, and she owns her own business. She's an entrepreneur, and she's a fitness guru. Can I say that?
Yes, yeah.
She inspired me to get up and work out on my lazy days. But we do have a lot of things in common. We're both Illinois girlies at heart, and we both moved to Florida. So I can't wait to get into that and learn more about you and your move. But first, why don't you give us a quick bio, just about who you are, to maybe some of our audiences who are watching and don't know you, which I'd be surprised, but if they don't follow you already, give us a bio.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just moved down to Florida from Illinois last summer. So at the very end of last July is when I transferred down here. But I was a police officer in Illinois for about 5 years. So now it's a total of 6 years. I turned 28 in March. So I just wanted to kind of continue my youthful years in Florida instead of retiring down here, basically. So I made the jump. Been super happy ever since.
Oh, good. Good to hear. Glad you're happy. That's all that matters. So we're going to go over the bread and butter of who you are and how you got here. But we're going to get a little deeper as well.
Yeah.
So tell us about your background in policing. I know it's weird because I moved here last summer in August. You moved here last summer in July. I think you just hit 6 years, right?
Yeah.
And I'm about to hit 6 years.
There we go.
From Illinois. So we're basically twins. But, but tell us about your background in policing.
Yeah, I originally never wanted to get into police work. Surprisingly enough, I didn't even think about it. But my uncle was a deputy chief, and just growing up, I had that in my mind. And then after college, my brother was already established as a police officer, and he's a sergeant now. My parents were kind of okay, let's get the ball rolling with grad school. What's up? What are you gonna do? And I was originally occupational therapy route, so kind of physical therapy, but for active daily movements and activities. And I wasn't kind of feeling I was super preventative with that for people, and wasn't really seeing that much of a change, especially with somebody's hindered from an ailment. And I'm I know I can't help this person. This kind of stinks. So I was just thinking about it more deeply and what could I do that maybe other people couldn't necessarily do. And I was I could totally be a police officer like my brother. I could kick ass. I can protect myself. I was why don't I just do that? And it was a total heat of the moment conversation with my parents. And I remember it to this day. I was I want to be a police officer. And they were okay, what? They were just yeah, sure you do. Didn't really believe me. But obviously I was really serious about it because I think the next week or that week, I was taking my first written exam in Illinois. And that department ended up being the one that worked out for me too. So they were so super supportive. Of course, it depends on agencies hiring at that time. So I'm waiting and doing other things. So I'm waiting to hear back and which one's going to work out. And it all worked out. So it was that very first test ended up being the one. And so, yeah, I never looked back. I don't regret a thing.
Amazing. So your parents, it's just you and your brother, right?
I have a sister too. So she's not law enforcement at all.
She's not law enforcement.
No. Loves
you and your brother are both police officers.
Yeah.
That's so I wonder how your parents feel. They must be so proud.
We tell everybody, honestly.
Yeah. And our daughter.
Yes. Whenever they see another cop, they're yeah, I had to tell him that my son and daughter are both police officers. Everyone that they see.
Yeah, that's how my mom is.
Yeah.
So you talked about it a little bit. And my next question was, what inspired you to be a police officer? But it sounds like you had a lot of family influence. Mm-hmm. And with you wanting to help people and your fitness, it kind of just seems like it kind of fit the bill at the time.
Yeah. And I totally I reserved it for myself because I hate copying other people. And growing up, my brother was in karate. I joined karate. We both got our black belts, so we were into that. My brother was into fitness. I got into fitness. And then I'm great, I'm copying his career too, but I'm I can do it better. So
well, that's what older siblings are for.
Yes, exactly.
So as a female officer and as an officer who's really into fitness, and obviously you can fend for yourself.
Yeah.
But what struggles like have you faced as a female officer?
Honestly, like having to think that you have to prove yourself because it's such a male dominated career. I know you relate to that too, but like having people, everyone has a stereotypical like woman cop, like they have that mantra in their head when they look at you or different things they say to you. And regardless of how good we are, how many arrests we're making, how many stops we're making, we're going to be treated differently. It's just how it is. But I like to remind myself it's like that for any career. Like if there's a female professional in any male dominated career or any career setting with male figures at all, like we're going to be treated differently. So I just kind of remind myself that like it is what it is. Like I'm not going to change myself. I am who I am. And then having to like do that whole restart at a whole new agency and like feeling like, great, the pressure's on, got to prove myself yet again, even though I've got more years on than a lot of these guys. And they're going to have the same stereotypical mindset of like who I am, what I look like, the fitness thing, all those things. Like they just add to it because they're like, oh, she's whatever. And like pretty much on a weekly basis, it'll be people, you're too pretty to be a cop. And I'm like, that's kind of insulting. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, you think I would get a career out of modeling? Maybe, maybe not. But like, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of a backhanded comment to me because I'm like, I like my career. Like I'm doing this because I have a choice to do this. I'm not bored.
Yeah. And I obviously can relate.
Yes.
The thing I can't relate though is your fitness. I'm working on it. But I mean, it's crazy that you can be like judged by the men you work with when you can bench more than them. That's
right.
crazy.
Yeah.
So for new female officers or even like seasoned vet officers that are dealing with the same as you, because I know that not only are you dealing with pressures from like, having to prove yourself and like you mentioned a new agency, same year, having to start all over again.
Right.
For any female who's like dealing with the same trials and tribulations as you, starting fresh, or a new officer, like you said, just this is who I am and I'm not going to change it. Like it's
like just kind of realize that you don't actually have to prove yourself. Like if you're a hard worker, it's going to show. And like if you're a good cop, it's going to show. So obviously people in this career field, we want to be good at our job, hopefully. So it would just be to like keep like, stay in your own lane, like do what you want and make a name for yourself that's positive. And like you won't have to really worry about your reputation if you know you're leading by example and you're being, a good officer and you're trying at your job. So just be like, who cares? Like they're guys, they're going to talk and that's just how it is. It's always going to be like that for women anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And you said too, like, and I think I haven't even really thought about that myself, but like, being a female in any like male dominated field, not just policing, you're going to deal with the same. So like in an office or a lawyer in a hospital, like, I mean, there's, we're on the come up for sure, but anywhere. So this, I mean, it goes for anybody, just keep pushing through
because like are struggling in it, just like they have to realize like it's not going to be much better. It's always going to happen to us unless you're in like a super positive environment and everyone gets along. But even like a dominated, I know these, nurse friends at the hospitals, like that's a whole catty situation sometimes. And it's gonna be worse.
Yeah.
I think like as far as my personality, and I'm sure yours too, like this is just like where we fit in. Like we find our good male friends that we know we can trust. And we find like there's like those few awesome females that we can connect to that don't think everything's a competition.
Yes. And thank God for those females.
Yeah.
Because that's like all I would want to surround myself with. Because like at the top, we collaborate.
Right.
That's what we do.
Right.
And instead of compete, we collaborate. And that's how it should be.
It's like we all have a ladder on our back so each other climb up it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what we should be doing. So you moved from Illinois to Florida.
Hardest thing of my life. So hard.
Same.
Right?
Same.
Oh my God.
So what was that like for you?
So honestly, like my whole life, I've never wanted to live in Illinois forever. I'm always just like, it's too cold. Why do we live here? I hate it here. Everything that you can imagine negative of Illinois. was, always in my mind. But like last February, I was like randomly on some police, like Blue Line, maybe even on Facebook. I saw like so and so was hiring somewhere in Florida. And I was like, why don't I just like throw out an application? Like, who cares? And I'm like,
Yeah.
and like immediately I hear back like that week. So I'm like, ooh, I should put out like some more applications, like start like looking to see who I actually like what if this actually worked out? And of course, I'm like secretively telling people. All of a sudden, I'm doing an interview that week. I'm like interviewing with a chief. I'm like, oh my God, like this could actually happen. And I did that with a few departments because I just wanted to find like a really good fit for me. So of course, like I had a wide selection, having, experience and being able to like take my time. It wasn't like I'm like, let me get a job, So I
Right.
kind of like vetting these places out and then more seriously getting into the process with like a few. And I actually have a good friend who lives in St. Pete. So a couple of times, like towards the summer, I could fly out here and actually see different areas, which was awesome. And it was like fast but slow. And then all of a sudden last summer, I'm like, okay, it's down to like these two pretty much. And if I don't like this one or this one, then like I'm done. Like it's over. Like I was like, I don't know. I've gone through all these places. I don't really like these places. Or I'd be like, this one's really good, but I would have to live super far if I wanted to get a house and I didn't really want to rent. So all of those things were, playing main factors in it. Plus, like selfishly of me, I wanted an outer carrier. I didn't want to wear green.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. 100%. Like, there's some things people don't think about.
It matters.
It's like 97 degrees today. Like, I need an outer vest. Oh,
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
So I'm like looking at the uniforms, like looking at their social medias, trying to see like what are their officers like. It came down to like two places. I did a ride along with one and they were giving me their conditional and I was like, no. And they were kind of surprised. But then the one I really liked, I did a Zoom interview while I was in Florida because I wasn't sure if I'd be able to make the drive. It was like an hour. And so my friend, she's like, okay, like your interview went really well. Do you want to go drive there and like see if you like it? I'm like, yeah, let's go drive. So while we're on the way there, they call me with the conditional. And I'm like, yeah. Cause like I really like them. I'm like, okay, we're driving there. Let's hope I like it.
Yeah.
So we end up making the drive there after I already said yes, they're conditional. I'm like, it's really cute. Like it's really nice. Like I love like their stats of everything. I really hope I like their officers in person. We'll see how it is. And of course, you know how it is, like a couple more trips back and forth of like the physical process and more for the background. During all of that, of course, I'm listing my house. I'm selling everything that I own. I'm saying bye to my coworkers. I'm like hoping it works out still because I'm waiting for the final offer.
Right.
And even until the day of the final offer to list my house finally. List my house. It sold that weekend, like in like a day, which was like finally, it's a good market for me. And I already had some houses in mind that were new construction that I was buying sight unseen. Like I didn't know what I was going to get. I didn't see the house that I bought or was buying until I literally drove down here. So I'm like, here it is. That's a whole other story, but it worked out. I closed on my house during the week of equivalency of training. That all worked out. Everything, my 2 boxes and my U-Hauls got moved down here. And it's all been a breeze since then because that was the most stressful summer ever. Like just all of that. It was a lot.
I can relate. Yeah, I had to sell my condo. Like literally same thing. But I had my fiance here, thank God, to move in with and stuff. I couldn't even imagine like navigating this like how you did, which is
it was crazy.
Wild.
It's crazy for anyone doing it though. I'm sure you had to sell a ton of your things. You're saying bye to everyone. You don't know what to expect. You're nervous. It's like giving up your whole life for a new one.
Yeah. And after did you resign from your agency like the same day you got your official offer?
No, so they already knew about it and they were so nice to me that they're like, whenever you gotta put in your 2 weeks, let us know. And like, so they were like so supportive of the process. They're like, we want you to have whatever makes you happy. And they're like, whenever is the right time, whenever you're ready to put in your 2 weeks. So they were so good about it. So I think I officially put in my 2 weeks at like the beginning of July and then was able to have like my going away party and then like vacation time for my last week.
Yes.
So after that, I had a week of like no work, just moving, and then came down here.
that's good that they were supportive. And honestly, like in Chicago, I'm one of whatever thousands. So like no one really cared.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Like you and 45 others today. But I think what people don't realize too is like people are afraid to like leave their job, especially in policing, because you like kind of get married to the pension.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate to say, but majority of the time you're just a number and you will be replaced. So if you're thinking about making the move or changing like departments, like to not hold back because you're like afraid to like quit your job. I think that was like my biggest fear. I was so afraid to quit my job.
Yeah.
Like I have a good job. I'm afraid to quit my job, but there's so much out there, like especially in policing. And it's like, you don't realize people are like, oh my God, I wish I was going to Florida. Like, good for you.
And we're so young and we can start over. And like, for people wondering, you can roll your pension over into an IRA and save it. Won't take it out because you'll be bumped into another tax bracket. You'll have to basically pay double taxes on it. I know someone who did that because they had to, and he regrets it. So just roll it over. Vanguard, IRA, you can call financial analysts and they'll help you with it. So it's not that hard. You're never going to see that money until you're 59 and a half anyways. So it's fine.
Yep. 100%. And those are things people don't think about. They're like, what about money? What about pension? It's like, listen, it rolls over. If you want to leave, go. Like you said, while we're still young, take the leap and like, and just do it.
Yeah.
So, if someone wants to make this move to Florida, like us, what's like the biggest piece of advice you would give to them on vetting out a department? Like, what did you look for?
Definitely do a ride along because that's where you're going to see, and they'll bring you to their coworkers sometimes and you'll get to like get the vibe of them. And like, if their personalities are weird, especially for women, like if these guys are creeps or something, you're not going to want to work with them, especially if they're on a ride along. So definitely like try to get a good vibe and do a ride along as soon as you're into the process, as soon as you can. Of course, it's nice to have something comparable if you want a sense of home and familiarity. I was definitely looking for that. Like I wanted like a mid-sized department. I didn't want more than like 100 officers or 200. Like that was crazy for me. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to go to somewhere like a major city. I would like more suburban cop where it's like a balance of what I'm used to. So if you want something similar, definitely look for that in their stats, their size, their population, the housing, especially too. Like a lot of people are like, well, where am I going to live? Yeah, that's so important too. You're going to want to not live too far. So try to like get on Zillow and see and compare it with how far it is to the department. I was looking for like, okay, I don't want to live further than like 20, 25 minutes from my job. So that was a key factor too, having the Zillow app in my hand and looking at the departments on my computer.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because I didn't do that. But I had a place to live. But if I didn't, I would be screwed because I did not do that. And where I work, it is so expensive. It's like more expensive than downtown Chicago. So like that's a great piece of advice because Florida, like it is, people are like, well, isn't the cost of living cheaper there? Everyone are like, no, it's not actually.
I was looking at your side of Florida a little bit more. So I was like, I'm going to have to live like an hour away if I want to buy. And like, I didn't want to rent because I'm like, come on, you know? So I was thinking if I went over there, like I would have to rent because everything's over $1 million. Like,
well, yeah. I mean, we're like 45 minutes north of Miami. And it's like, they just basically say Miami and they can charge an arm and, you know, a friggin' leg for everything. So yeah, and then that's great
too. Like this time still, I mean, like 7%, and like, you know, I was locked in with a good low interest rate too. Like it's all the boring stuff that nobody really thinks about, but like nobody really wants to up and move right now. But we're in a one year, so hopefully interest rates keep coming down for people. Maybe time to be better for buying if you want to buy. Yeah, I want to like vet people from up north too, because like I love personalities. I'm like, come down.
And and I think it's been great too. And you look happy, and like that's all that matters. And I think also it was important that you said like the size of the department
Yeah.
Because I came from a huge department. So I wanted to try something different, but I didn't want to go to somewhere like too small because like my personality, like, I mean, I'd be like, listen, everyone's going to know me in like 24 hours. So I need to like, I need it a little bit bigger. So that I didn't even look at that either, like until I was like really interviewing. And then I was like, oh, I should have looked at that. So definitely those are
one place that was like, I think it was like 20 sworn. And they're like, yeah, we do every single case start to finish. You're basically a detective, an ET, a this, a this. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, does anything happen here? They're like, no. I was like, oh. I'm like, I don't want to work here.
I'm telling you, that was one of my biggest things because, like, one of my friends in Florida, they have to do all their fingerprinting and stuff themselves. And I'm like,
no,
I don't want to do that.
At my North agency, we processed everybody and it was, it's digital and everything. So it wasn't that bad, but we did all our processing in-house.
Yeah.
Right now, like, we don't even have our own jail. So, like, the drop-off type of jail is like a luxury to me. I'm like, we don't even have to take their pictures. They do that for us. So, like,
yeah.
Yeah,
that's definitely
take home car.
Take home car.
Oh yeah,
because you didn't have one in Illinois, right?
No, like
none either.
No.
Yeah. So that's a huge thing. Like, we don't have to get into it, but on my end, I did take a pay cut, but the take home car, definitely helps because you're not paying for gas. I barely use my car.
Same.
It's so. That's like a thing in Florida, which I didn't know it was for every department, but I think it's honestly almost for every department.
My department got them later too, only like because of COVID. And I'm like, thank God we got them. So, but like, we have a nice fleet. You don't have to share a car with anybody. Like, that is a luxury in itself. I tell my old coworkers and they're like, you guys drive it every day. I'm like, yeah. They're like, oh my God.
You don't have to get in the car and then clean out everyone's trash from the last shift that they left on the passenger seat. Like, what?
Tips.
Yeah. Like nasty.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of perks for sure.
Definitely a perk.
Okay. So now that we know your background a little bit more, what did you go to school for? Because I saw in your bio, you went to school for some. You want to tell us what you went to school for?
Yeah. So since I was occupational therapy route, I was kinesiology was my major. My minor was in just to help me out with any field. But yeah, kinesiology is the study of exercise science and nutrition. That was my focus. So then that was basically like a segue into another career route. And that's why I was like, okay, got to get ready for grad school. But a little bit of my own research, actually mostly like my own research, helped prep me a lot for that too, because I was starting my fitness journey at the beginning of college. So then from there, like, I helped start a powerlifting club at my school. I helped like get other, like, of my friends and other women into working out. And I shared just like all of my fitness journey from like weight loss, muscle building, and competing and bodybuilding too on Instagram mostly. At first, I was like too embarrassed. It was like my private account, like my Finsta. And it turned into what it is now, mostly from competing and now from being a police officer. So that was like my original niche on Instagram, was just like my bodybuilding journey.
And is that what got you so many followers? Like in the beginning, was like all your bodybuilding?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it was stuck at like maybe like 23K until like the last couple of years. And the last couple of years from TikTok, basically, that like, they all travel over to your Instagram. So they, it's almost doubled now. So that's cool too.
Yeah. I looked over 60,000 on Instagram and over like 200,000 on TikTok.
Yeah. So it's growing. It's
hope you're making that money, girl.
It's still small, but
no, it's honestly, I think it's awesome. I mean, you're asking the wrong person, but I think it's awesome.
Oh, thank you. I don't consider myself like a big influencer or anything, because it all started like small, and it's still like, it's like a diary for me. I just share like,
but I think that's why people like you and like following you, because you're not pushing products like all the time. You're really just pushing, like, you're not pushing, but you're really just being yourself. Yeah. Like, hey, like, this is what I do. You want to try this? Or like you're authentically like you, which I think people like way more than just like product placement 24/7.
Yeah.
And like
I do like to support like smaller companies that send me stuff. If someone sends me stuff, like, I'm going to post it. I'm not going to this, here's my link. But if a company sends me something and someone's like, did you actually really like it? And I'm like, yeah, that's why I posted it. They're like, oh,
Right.
okay, maybe I'll try that too. And like,
Right.
I just think it's so nice that these companies, obviously they want to get their name out there, but like no one's
Yeah.
ever sending me anything. So when they
Yeah.
do, it's nice.
Well, you're a Midwestern girly. That's why, because you tell the truth. You got heart.
Yeah.
That's the Midwestern girlies in us, because we don't lie and we don't do fake shit.
It's so funny when there's like someone from up north. We always say up north, even though
Yeah,
like
up north. Yeah,
up north, it applies to like, I swear, like New York, New Jersey. Like I have a lot of,
Michigan. Yeah.
yeah, from
Yeah,
there. It's funny how we all just like, we have like an unspoken connection too. It's just like we know.
100%. It's like, if you didn't scrape like snow off the
Yeah.
outside and the inside of your windshield, like literally, respectfully, no.
When you were saying that to Sean, I was like, I relate.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry. I was working the other day an ice cream truck for work, and I was looking around at all the kids playing at recess. And I looked over to like my coworker and I said, oh my God, you know what I just realized? That these kids get to play outside for recess unless it's, um, what's it called? Raining,
Yeah. So
um, every single day.
yeah. And sometimes they
And
have outside campuses.
I
Like
was
for
like, oh my God. Like, I
yeah,
never, like, actually, I'm looking at these kids like, wow, they never had to like deal with snow or anything.
right? Like
But
you should be when they don't even know. They're like, oh, it's just always sunny.
like literally always sunny in Florida. um so we just learned about your background in school, like all your fitness, like powerlifting, and which is crazy.
Yeah.
Um so that leads me to my next question. So what how did you start your own fitness training, personal training company? Tell me how that came to light and when.
Yeah. So in college, once I was in like the little powerlifting realm, I was like, yeah, maybe I would want to like compete with this. But then I started learning about like macros and like tracking your calories and like fats, carbs, and protein. And I started getting a little bit leaner. And I was like, I'm looking pretty good. Not really. Like, that's not what I thought then. But I was like getting in really good shape. And I was thinking, like, well, what if I did like bodybuilding and did like bikini? Like, I'd probably have to pay for my own coach, and I'm in college. I'm not working. I'm school full time. I don't know. I'll see. And like, I talked to a coach, and I was like, yeah, I don't really want to work with this guy. And I was like, why don't I do it myself? Like, I'm kind of doing it already. So I was like, yeah, I'll just track my macros and like research like every single day and like look up what different things work for people. And I was able to just like share my entire process all the way through like my first prep and my first competition. I did really well at my first competition, took second. Everyone was, older and like established, and like I felt so good. And at that time, like bodybuilding was like this like new, like wonderful world for me. Like everyone that I met, I was like, these women are amazing. Like everyone's so motivational, so inspirational. And all of a sudden I have like a plethora of messages of women, girls, guys saying like, how did you do this? Like, how do you know this? What are you doing? What do you eat? Can you coach me? And started saying yes. And like over time, I kind of just like formulated like my doc files and my training apps and just like organized it all to the point where now it's like so easy to onboard a client, like so easy to do check in. And it just, kind of grew itself through social media and through talking to people online and just posting everything that I was learning.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I love that you have a hobby and a passion, like,
Yeah.
and it's okay to be a police officer. It's the hardest job in the world, but to have like another passion outside of it, have another, not even a hobby, you're totally an entrepreneur. Like, you have your own business, and like, I totally respect that. And I think it's amazing. And I know it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. Do you
Yeah.
have any help, or do you do it all on your own?
No, it's all on my own. So yeah, like I'll go through phases where I'm more so like sending out like active like onboarding messages or just like client outreach and messaging people. But of course, like with work, that is so time consuming. So if I'm like, I'm so overwhelmed right now, I'll take a break for it and it'll just be on my back burner. And I have my current clients and I'm not trying to actively get more clients. And
Right.
that's how I kind of manage, my clientele too. And then Other times I'm like, I'm kind of bored. Why don't I try to work some more and get some more clients so I don't have
Yeah.
all this free time? And then that's when I'm like, okay, let me, post some more of my client information, post some more of my workout stuff, reach out to more people, see who I can help. But it's just basically a lot of like cold leads. I have to be a salesperson too, and I'm the brand. So it's like I have to look a certain way, I have to
Yeah.
share. And I don't really like even think of it like that, though it's not like a have to. It's like I want to share stuff too. Like I like talking to people. I like sharing what I like and what works for me. And more so, I like having an impactful outreach on other people. Like I'll have a client who I helped years ago still reach out to me, be like, hey, like I haven't been so bad, but I just looked at my plans you made for me forever ago. And now I'm down 10 pounds. I feel so good. My skin's clear. I feel great. I just want to say thank you again. And it's like the best feeling.
I see you post a lot of like your clients before and afters,
Yeah.
and like they really are like making a change. And like, how does that make you feel that like these people are really like changing their lives because of you?
It's so good, especially when someone is like, I have more confidence and like all of the other factors that aren't part of that physical transformation that are just the side effects of improving their lifestyle. Those are like the things that really make me feel like, oh, you feel good about yourself finally. Like I feel good about you feeling good. So those
Yeah.
are like even more impactful for me.
Yeah, it's got to be really rewarding
It is.
to like see people like make a change, and like you're helping them with their, like you even said, like your skin changes, your
Yeah.
mindset changes. So you're more than like just a fitness coach. You're like a
Right.
mindset coach too.
Yeah.
Like you're
Yeah.
really helping people with like their full livelihood. And what
And
like
so much more. Like it's so much more than
right.
physical appearance. And like so many people have an unhealthy relationship with food and thus an unhealthy relationship with themselves when they're trying to better themselves. Like everybody suffers from some form of like a body image issue, whether it's like body dysmorphia or it's an eating issue. It all has like it ties in so much like your gut, your mind, your personality. So it's a lot more of like baby steps into creating like a healthier outlook for everything, for their relationship with food, and not just like getting into the gym.
Yeah, 100%. And what programs like do you offer? I already looked, but
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
what programs do you offer? Like if someone's watching this and wants to work out with you or
Yeah.
learn from you, what do you offer?
So everything is fully online, but my full coaching service has like workouts, which is through an app. I program it, it's customized, cater to their goals, their preferences, their needs, and there's video demonstrations of everything on the app. I also give with the full coaching service nutrition that's customized too. They get their macronutrients, supplement suggestions, cardio protocols, a step goal. And with the coaching, you also get weekly check-ins. So every single week, we'll go over your adherence to your plan as well as several biomarkers. So just like different feedbacks of sleep, mood, digestion. I look at about like 10 different factors. And from those questions every check in, I'll make adjustments to their plan as needed. That's with the
Wow.
full coaching. So then aside from that, I also do one-time plans. If someone's like, hey, like I just want a nutrition plan to look at sometimes. I do that. Same thing with workouts. If someone's like, hey, I just want something to follow. I don't care if it's changed. I'm going to follow the same thing. I'll give them the workouts just by itself. I can always just do like a combination of those two without check-ins too if they want like more hands-off coaching. So basically a mix and match of the coaching. I split it up for people based on what they want.
Wow. Okay, you said a lot of technical terms in there too.
Yeah.
It's like I was really impressed. I was like, wow.
I'm like, I give them a DVD.
I was like, wow. And she has her own app. Like that is so cool.
Yeah. The app is super helpful too because I can look at what videos I put into it and pick like one with proper form and be like, okay, actually watch this. Especially when there's different exercises now. Like I don't even know the names to some of these things that people come
Yeah.
up with. If I tell somebody you're gonna do a kickstand RDL, they're gonna be like, what is that? But it's
Yeah, I'd be like,
it's the RDL. And then it's nice.
so do you help beginners and people at your level or
Yeah.
just your level? Okay. Any level.
Beginners, my level, people who don't even want to work out. I mean, nutrition is like our biggest component too. You don't need to necessarily even work out if you want to lose weight. You know that yourself. You've lost weight yourself too. And
Yeah.
for some people, they're like, hey, like I can't make it into the gym at this period of my life, that's okay too. So we can work on nutrition and steps and you can lose body fat.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that you offer it for everybody. So my next question is, um, how have you taken this life path that you have where you have a lot going on? And
Yeah.
I relate, and I love that about you. So you have a lot going on. So how have you taken this life path to where you are, like, let's say today,
Mhm.
and turned it into like something positive on your job as a police officer?
Oh, so I've done like different community events too to talk about like fitness and nutrition as well. So that's awesome. At my previous department, I was able to do it in like a school and in Spanish for like a Spanish speaking majority school. So I've been able to do like more public outreach with things like that so people can better themselves. And I actually love having like the best of both worlds because a ton of my clients are cops, coworkers. I have my commanders and my sergeants reaching out to
That's
me.
amazing.
Yeah, like, just this past week, my commander was like, "Hey, can you come see me in my office?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, sure."
Oh God.
He's having questions about nutrition because I made him plans, and they all know I do outside employment. So I'm like, "What's up? Like, what do you need?" I just wanna say, like, I feel more filled out and stronger than in so long. He's like, I know it's been, like, 2 weeks, but, like, this is amazing." And I was like, "Keep talking about it so we can influence everybody else here,
Yeah.
even so they support my business, but so that they wanna do what you're doing and just
Yeah.
more fit and healthier." And, he's in his 60s. So just being able to like be like a positive, healthy influence for these people and for them to feel more comfortable, I think all of those aspects definitely help me as an officer just to be more well rounded for the public, for my coworkers. Like I want people to be healthy and feeling good about themselves for as long as possible.
Yeah. And you said earlier too that like when someone feels good about themselves, it makes you the most happy and like your whole face lit up. So it's like on the job too, like we're dealing with people on their worst days. So like if I can see it already, like you probably make someone feel so much better in such a shitty situation because of like what you do. And that helps like tremendously in our job, not making people's day any worse, but like
Right.
making feel good
Yeah.
as they can feel in like the worst possible situation.
When it comes to calls, like I would always rather be good cop in those situations
Yeah. Like
because
talking to them.
people open up to you more when you're just having a face-to-face conversation with somebody. Like, it's like, I'm just here in an outfit and, obviously I have a job that's different than yours, but we're both living our life for the first time ever, going through different experiences, and we can talk about those experiences. If you go to jail, I'll help you out and figure out what we can talk about to make it not so miserable. If you're freaking
Yeah.
out, panicking, I'm going to tell you it's not that bad. Like, I'll be there to explain it for a person. And sometimes there are, officers who don't really want to give people a time of day, but
Yeah.
we're there for 12 hours anyway, so we can give them a little bit of time.
100%. I totally agree. So where do you see your career, whether it's policing, fitness, influencing, where do you see your career going? And do you have any hopes and dreams of like what you want to achieve in life?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like, since I moved down here, I wanna take all of my, like, instructor skills and different things that I did. I was, like, a peer support advocate at my other department too and helped organize that a lot. So I would love to establish our peer support team down here for our officers, do more community events like I did up north too, be a DT instructor like I was up north too. All of
Yeah,
those.
that'd be great for you.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
love to do all of those for sit leaves, but, like, as far as right now, I'm just like, "Okay, let me calm down." I just moved my whole life down here, like, less than a year ago, so it's kinda
Yeah.
nice to be like, "Ah, okay." Like, I can work on my fitness stuff, I can do things for myself. In the far future, sure, I'd love to be some sort of supervisor role. If I become a sergeant, that'd be great. I don't know if I see myself doing investigations, but I'm never gonna say never to an opportunity if it aligns with me then. So as far as now, like I said, relax, work on my fitness, fitness business, my clients, and just like make this home. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think like you probably can relate, but in the last year, like I'm looking at the time and I'm like, how has it already been
I
almost a year?
know.
I
Yeah.
feel like time flies.
Yeah.
And I think it's great that you're just like letting things happen because
Right.
we're
Yeah.
still young. I mean, we still have a lot of time. But yeah, time flies here in Florida. Really,
I know. And now we
and every day is beautiful out. It's just like,
right. Yeah, and
so
everything's
fast 'cause
good.
you're enjoying your life, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
There's no like seasonal depression vibes very much. So
wow, winter went by really fast.
yeah, yeah,
Not waiting for the day it's sunny out. It's just
right. And I
so
think it's easier to take care of ourselves in Florida, I feel like, because we can be more
100%.
active. There's more like pressure to be active because we're always hot and in like tank tops. So
100%.
yeah,
You probably have more clients here because
I think
there's
so.
no
Yeah,
excuse to not go outside and get moving, really.
right.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I can't go outside today because I have 12 inches of snow. Like, no, like you have
Yeah.
no excuse here.
Right.
Um, so, is there any final takeaways you can leave us with, just like for any woman, man who can relate to you, like just any bits of advice for?
Yeah, honestly, like I said, like we touched on earlier, like try not to worry about what other people are saying about you and just do what's best for yourself. I think it's also awesome to have like other hobbies and interests and things that you can go to. And like people struggle in police work a lot. I have tons of messages of people being like, I'm not sure if this is it for me. I don't know what else to do. But like to me, like it's almost like my side job, even though it's my full-time job. Because
Totally relate.
I
Yeah.
have such another, outlook on life through other things. Like I'm like you, we stay so busy and that like those are my main concerns. And then, I go to work. It's easy to me. Like we're just you never know what you're gonna get, but it's like you're gonna get through it. And
Mhm.
you go home. Like that's it. Like that's what's important. So people get like so caught up in work life. I just don't think it's as important. Like we're all at work for the same reason. It's, to make money primary. And then, of course, the side effects, helping other people, being a positive outlook on your coworkers and in the community. But having a lot of other things going on, I think is a lot healthier for everybody.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
100%. And where can we find you if we want to come follow you?
Yes, I'm Rach Nicole Fit on just about everything. So Rach Nicole Fit, no periods, no dots, no dashes on Instagram, on TikTok. That's pretty much all I use. But yeah, feel free to follow me.
Well, I love watching your journey. You're inspirational to me. So I know that you will be inspirational to many other people that are listening. And thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.